We do. Now, my phone got shaken, so it kind of got off the point where I was going to do. What about postnatal abortion? I must confess to having participated in some of those when I signed the death warrants after a jury imposed the sentence of death for a murder conviction. What about the OD? Police found another victim of this horrible surge in drugs in downtown Atlanta, or the drive-by. See, those are postnatal abortions. So when you have the woman keep the child, what as a candidate are you going to do or attempt to do in making something available as an opportunity so the person gets into doing what's necessary to keep from being a postnatal abortion situation? I'm going to skip over a lot of other stuff here to this one. Okay, another one I'm going to mention is, as a candidate, do you perceive that there is an attack on manhood, and if so,
yes.
What's good or bad about it?
I want to hear the answer.
No.
All right, hold on.
Come on, Catherine. Start.
Hold on. How can you tell when a candidate is likely to be a surrogate for third parties more so than a representative of his nominal constituents?
Good question.
Now, this other thing about opportunity versus entitlement. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
When someone no longer perceives there being a necessity, then those things that lead to invention and innovation dissipate. We get stagnation. So if everybody says, I'm supposed to get it just because I want it, they stop trying and they stop creating new opportunities. They stop going out and being prepared in the way I hear, yo, man, why don't you come over, man? We can smoke a blunt, man. Play some vids, man. How can you deal with somebody like that when they want to talk about what you gonna make it better, man? Well, first off, even if I said something up that was better for you, it wouldn't do you any good because you aren't prepared to take advantage of it. Well, man, white supremacy be keeping you down, man. Excuse me, it's all about kindergarten through 12th grade. You get that together and every door for the rest of your life will be unlocked, even if you gotta kick it all the way in and there's no white supremacist, white anybody sitting across the kitchen table from you or your kids when they're supposed to be getting the homework. The governor of Oregon just signed into law a new thing that removes the requirement that you have to be proficient in reading and math to graduate. So what are we doing to ourselves? That said, who's up after? You, all right. Madam Blick, I call her Madam Blick, B-L-I-C, boss lady in charge.
Y'all give it up for Uncle Judge. I'm always amazed by his wisdom. You know, it's just an awesome thing. I remember a saying a long time ago, they say the younger are quicker, but the elders know the way. So sometimes, you know, we listen to them because of their wisdom. They were here before us, they lived, this man litigated so many cases, he knows about law. So if he wants to advise us, why not be open to listening to what he has to say? Save us about what, maybe 10, 20 years of school and a few $1,000 just to hear what he has to say. So for right now, I want to kind of open up the floor to some people in the audience because we have to get ready to close in just a little bit. I know there are quite a few people that have some questions. We're going to start with this gentleman right here in the blue shirt. If you can ask your question and who it's proposed to.
It's actually a statement about working with Quincy. It's something called the Alpha Mission. I want to take just a couple minutes
Okay.
and talk about our situation. In Atlanta in 1895, Booker T. Washington gave a famous speech. And he gave a speech to the business community. And what he said was, America's never going to be what it can be until blacks get included in the economy. He said, we don't need to live around you, but we have to be a part of the economy. And at that time, the business community actually responded to Booker T. Washington. Spelman College, which you guys would know that is, Spelman is the maiden name of John D. Rockefeller's wife. So Booker T. Washington partnered with people of goodwill. We've had, I call, 3 big movements in this country, and we need a 4th. The first was the American Revolution. The second was the abolition of slavery. The third was the civil rights movement. And today, what I think is we need a movement of people of goodwill dedicated to proving that the free enterprise system works for everybody. It is the free enterprise system that takes people from poverty to prosperity. So Atlanta actually plays, I'm from Chicago, so I used to live on the west side. Nowhere in the world are poor people healthy, educated, and safe. And conversely, nowhere in the world, regardless of your race, are affluent people not healthy, educated, and safe. People go from poverty to prosperity only one way. It is entrepreneurial-led economic activity that leads to the appreciation of education and social capital. Social capital is when you reach back and you pull people from your community along, but more importantly, you create an aspirational roadmap for your young people so they know where to place the bet. So I'm going to ask a quick question. Name 2 famous black entrepreneurs that would be nationally known with no connection to sports or any other form of entertainment. Robert Smith's one. No, that's entertainment. She's not alive, but yes, ma'am.
Dr. B. Carson?
He's not an entrepreneur. He was a surgeon. He wasn't an entrepreneur. So anyway.
He had his own practice.
Yeah. So, why is that important? Because black kids trapped in poverty can't either. The market tells them to place their bets on sports and entertainment, and that's exactly what they do. So one of the things, if we look around the world, after Barack was elected, and actually I'm 60 and from Chicago, so Barack's a friend of mine, he's worked for our company. Most people don't realize he was lifted by black entrepreneurs. Almost every important movement in our country has been lifted by black entrepreneurs. So in 2009, I got invited to do a tour of India. And I met with somebody in the central bank. And they gave me the story of India. He said in 1991, they figured out socialism doesn't work. They started to free their economy. Their government started doing business with their small entrepreneurs, which prepared them for the international market. And then U.S. business just did business with capable Asian entrepreneurs. They didn't have any diversity programs or set-aside programs or midnight basketball programs. They just did business. We are in the biggest economy in the world, and blacks don't participate. So here's the numbers from the 2010 census. If you take majority-owned companies with employees, have been 9.4 trillion, women $1 trillion, Asians $455 billion, Hispanics $276 billion, and blacks $98 billion. Even though blacks have double the educational achievement on average as Hispanics, but even that's not a real number. It's mostly a fake diversity pass-through number. So blacks are the only group in the United States that made less in 2018 than they did in the year 2000. There's a pathway from poverty to prosperity. Between 1910 and 1930, that was the height of black business participation. And that was because of the Black Wall Streets. That came out of Atlanta, actually. Because Booker T. Washington talked to the business community. And I think we have an opportunity now to say, you got 2 choices. You're going to partner with black people to prove that the free enterprise system works for everybody, or good luck with Comrade Bernie Sanders.
Awesome.
That's it. So I think so the Alpha Mission is, I describe as a movement of people of goodwill dedicated to proving that the free enterprise system works for everybody. Because the day when black people participate in the economy in proportion to our talent, we will solve every problem that we have. Michael Jordan, last time I checked, was black. I'm going right now. But anyway, we got a money problem, and get people to just do business and stop trying to save us, we'll save ourselves. We don't need any more little black kid programs or city programs. So if little black parents have some little green bills, they take their own little black kids.
450,000.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna open up the floor to someone else. Guys, please, questions for the candidates, because we really want to hear from them.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Gary Hunter, the publisher of the Shot News and the Playtime, the largest newspaper in the country, doing 16 to 21
Come on with
states.
that plug. Come on, let's say it again. Make sure they hear you.
Number one, the co-partner, I just told him I need to make sure we put this in the paper, number one. My paper goes to every congressional black caucus members and members on the Hill, but as of this week, we're going to every state legislator in the country. I'd like to know from the candidates, what happened to the grassroots effect in any of your campaign? Because if you go with status quo, you can't be with the grassroots. Your grassroots is you can't be with status quo. What do we do to make sure that you are? I was President Obama's photographer the last 14 years. I've been in every kind of room that exists. So we're not invited to. Me too. When I tell you I've been in some VIP rooms, we go in one room is VIP, and it's full of black politicians, but another room is full of money people. There is a divide. And I'm talking about nationwide. I did 46 states of white Puerto Rican Cuba. I think we need to give them a hand and an ovation for this meeting, number one. I think we need to all give them a hand. It's happening some places, but it's really not happening across America where we have an honest discussion about the hell we're going through. And although we want to knock programs, brother man, I can feel the fire over here. No damn well, if we don't save the sons, the mamas ain't gonna spend the money no matter what. Because they'll be spending on bail money. So we gotta have a program. We can't knock one for the other. We gotta have a youth program. We got some hella non-raised, non-home trained kids out there women and men. And they're building jail for them. And although the president just canceled out federal prison, don't forget it's some private state prisons that they'll fill up for them. All I really want to know, I'm going to end with this. What do we do to expose you to the voters knowing who you are? Because damn it, in your world, they know you. How do you, like I told one of my other politicians, get out of your comfort zone, go where they don't know you. The fundraisers, they
So let me say this. Let's congratulate them, because they did get out of their comfort zone. They're here today. So this is actually that first step, and it comes with people like me, people like Kwame Brown, other people in the community with large platforms, using their platforms to make these people visual. Because we see so many times in our other media, just with my own campaign period, anytime someone's not with their agenda, then they're biased towards them and they're reporting articles that are not factually true. So I think that how they get noticed is we as a community, we make sure that we're sharing their stories, we're talking about them, we're telling our friends, we're bringing them on our platforms, because the best form of advertisement today is still word of mouth. We can't afford to vote for who Diddy tell us to vote for no more.
Right.
Because Diddy got his $1 million house.
That's right.
And his businesses and his kids, they're straight. The people that are telling us we're oppressed and we're suffering, somehow all of them rich. Why are we listening to Oprah and Gail Clinton? You tell me how you got to where you are. But okay, so I don't know if I answered that, if anybody wanted to respond to
I
that.
just wanted to say something real quick. Just because he put it out there the way he did, really briefly, since 2017, I've abolished Columbus Day, decriminalized marijuana, $15 minimum wage. I've banned the box for convicted felons. I've activated our Urban Redevelopment Authority and our Development Authority that's bringing that $1.5 billion deal I told you about. I had a resolution regarding the 5G towers, Juneteenth holiday. I'm the first and only legislator in the state of Georgia to create Breonna Taylor's law that ended no-knock warrants in the city of South Fulton. I passed a resolution, #8can'twait, that bans chokeholds, strangleholds, requires de-escalation by the police, warning before shooting, exhaust all alternatives before shooting, the duty to intervene, ban shooting and moving vehicles, require use of force continue. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if anything, the Central Park 5 legislation that stops them from interrogating our police interrogating our young people without filming, the Crown Act, so our brothers and sisters can go to work with their hair being natural, reparations, again, the first in the state. Baker, the number 4 Congress is my website. I only asked when it came to the grassroots movement, $22 in 2022. And so it's becoming infectious. And the only way that I can be successful is if anything that I've said, that I've done as a young legislator can become infectious on a federal level, but it takes people in rooms like this to say, yo, I can give $22 towards a cause.
And I wanna say this to piggyback off of Dr. Baker and all of the wonderful accomplishments that he's made in our community, which is why it was important for us to have him here. But I wanna let you all know that I had laws changed without being in office. Don't think that you got a right to make a difference.
That's right.
Because some of you have impactful, powerful stories where you can go to Congress and you can lobby Congress and you can tell them your stories and you can share their pain and have them act on your behalf. So we don't all have to necessarily be in office, but we do need to support the ones that are running that truly represent us. And then we also need to all become advocates. I think there's a young lady back there in the back with a question. Okay. Judge Joe Brown has to leave. Everybody give him a round of applause. He got to get to the airport. Our other candidate, Luna, she also has to leave in a little bit, so we're going to get ready to say goodbye to her, but we'll be wrapping up in just a second. Ma'am, you had a question?
So my question is, I'm part of the pro-life movement. I have been for about 8 years. I've seen a lot within that 8 years, and my question is, in Tennessee not too long ago, 2 lawmakers introduced a legislation to give fathers the opportunity to deny abortion. And I want to know, is that the future for Georgia?
Thank you, Judge, for your service.
And I can tell you that
Your wisdom.
that's been an issue that has been brought up, not just from you, but it's been a huge issue for pro-lifers in Tennessee. So it's new. It's that idea, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it's a new concept to most how to deal with this. So we will be opposing it, of course. So I will tell you that.
What is it?
So what she's referencing, while keeping it short, she's referencing there's a law that was passed, that was trying to be passed by the Democrats that will allow the man to say, hey, just regardless of what she say, I want to be able to have the right to say, abort that baby because I don't want to take care of it.
And you know, I'm going to say something now. I'm going to say something. That's tough. Because I will say this. In this world where everybody want to fight for equality. Okay, what y'all got going up there, Mr. President? All right. In this world where we got everybody talking about equality, right? Let's just be honest for a minute. I mean, if the mother can say, hey, damn the father, I don't want the baby, and she can't abort the baby, why is it fair for the father to, and listen, I raised, where Tay at? Tay, come here, Tay. I raised 3 boys without a father, I know how it is, but to make the father be responsible for 18 years for the life, but say that the mother can literally end the life with the liberation of a choice. Remember, the father created life. You can't have a life if it ain't for the man and the woman. Ain't no women running around here getting pregnant on their own. Except married.
And it needs to go from there all the way to child custody. Because men have no voice and women automatically get custody. There are men that don't have access to their children, and that's got to change in Georgia.
Yep, child support is an important issue. Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is Brandon Campbell. I want to piggyback on the question that Brother Bell said. He said, what happened to the grassroots movement? For me, the grassroots movement starts online. We'll start online. I follow, V1, Professor Black Truth, Tarika Sheedy. That's how I got put on my common ground by extension. I had known about Ms. Dan King, but through common ground, I learned more about Ms. Dan King, and I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you for
So a lot of that,
bitch and moan and complain about. Maxine Waters been in office for a total of 48 years, right? 17 years in the Assembly and the rest in Congress. People complain about the poverty, the violence, and all that stuff. She lives in a big ass house. We poor still in the community. We got poor schools, poor everything. But when young people get tired of it and we start getting up and running for office, first thing they say is, well, that seat belongs to her. Respect your elders. Like, how can I respect an elder, right? Maxine Waters, I don't care who it is. You can name anybody, Congressional Black Caucus. You can name anybody in Congress, throw it dark. They all been in there 20 plus years. How can I respect the person who will legitimately allow me to walk in my house and get shot and killed? Because they can't put jobs in our communities, because they can't, help our small businesses with financial literacy, because they can't improve our... If I say something that's repugnant to what the mainstream black-faced conservative believes, all of a sudden I'm a black guy, and they want to get online and talk trash about me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, when it's time to donate money, like he said, where are these people at? When it's time to knock on doors, where are these people at? When it's time to make phone calls, where are these people at? And when it's time to vote, the same people who bitch and complain about everything that's going on in the country revert back to the same politicians that's been in office 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. You got politicians that are 90 years old dying in office. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? So the grassroots movement, it sounds great. It sounds great. I'm gonna learn about this person from that person, and everybody get on their social media platform and they talk all this shit, but they are nowhere in our communities.
Listen, I'm glad Mama King gone, but there's still some snitches in the room. Somebody gonna tell. Folks and their cousin. I just want to say, Mommy, away me. But go ahead. Okay. Let's go. I know you gotta get ready to go.
Yeah, I do. I was just, yeah. He kind of said what I was about to say in regards to your question and what you were going to say.
Speak up.
Okay. Getting out and volunteering with your grassroots candidates is going to mean everything for your community. It's like what he's saying is spot on. That it is hard work when you're not funded by the establishment.
That's right.
You have no idea how much it costs to advertise in a district of 180,000 houses. Especially when you have, like my district, older people, rich, white, old Republicans that don't go on Facebook and look at it. They have to go to their mailbox, and we gotta go knock on doors, and that's what I've been doing. I've been knocking on doors. I've been going through booths, and it is not fun, but I mean, in my district, I don't know if y'all got friends in Jacksonville, but if you got volunteers, send them my way. We'll make a party out of it, and we'll go door to door to door to door to door. And you actually have really good community engagement. It doesn't matter who you don't know what you're gonna open the door to. Sometimes the door slams in my face, and sometimes I end up talking to, I'm a Republican, a Democrat for an hour, and we're laughing. So you just gotta get out in your own community and help your grassroots.
I just want to say something too. If everybody in here, we're talking grassroots, if everybody that gave up 3 hours of their life today went and got 10 more people like you and began to get engaged, don't leave here and not tell somebody about these candidates that you heard from today. I want y'all to tell people about me. I want y'all to put me in the Capitol. So, look, tell someone Catherine Davis is running for governor. Tell them, get 10 more like you. You gave up a whole afternoon to come and hear from us. And I'm not saying you have to vote for me, although you better.
You don't vote for her, you ain't black.
You have to tell someone else. You have to. You can't just keep it to yourself. You got a lot of information in here today. Some information that you never heard before. Tell somebody. And when I was coming up, we used to say, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. So let's start something. Something got ignited in here today. Let's keep it going. That's how we do the grassroots.
And let me say this too, because I just want to give a strategy to what you're talking about, tag off what Joe was talking about. When in Nashville, like I said, I'm dealing with crime issues in Nashville, just like you guys are dealing here. But when you're dealing with the highest incarcerated zip code in America, and you're trying to flip that to a wealth perspective, my approach going into the neighborhoods is, guys, here's what we got. Here are the facts. This is what we got to work on. This is what we can agree that we got to reach the same values of helping the community. For me, it was talking fintech, financial technology, teaching these young boys, hey, this is how you're gonna get off the streets. Let me show you this trade. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. Actually bring them to my office. There's a organization in Nashville called Gideon's Army. You guys, I don't know if you've heard of it, but they're they're reformed gang members. They can't vote, right? And into what Judge Joe Brown was talking about in New York, they're trying to pass aliens can go and vote, but yet a convicted felon, but yet he can pay taxes. And so there's a problem here, and that's why we have to reform that criminal part too, of saying, hey, if they up in New York trying to allow illegal people that not even ever paid no taxes here, but then Pookie can get out of jail for serving 15 years, and then he's been taking care of his family for the last 10, and he can't vote, but he gotta pay taxes. So these are the type of things we've got to really hone in on the community and just get real. And these people, because what it's doing, these elected, and I'm going to call it out like it is, these elected black officials have been holding these positions a long time. All this stuff is going to do is show the weaknesses of what they've been doing. So the new faces that you see up here, this is what can change America. This right here.
I know y'all get tired of me harping on this, but they say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again. We have literally got a national movement going right now where everybody, just about in America, whether you Republican or Democrat, we all believe that Black life matters, right? There's a difference between Black life matters and Black lives matter, right? But Black life matters. And because Black life matters to us, we have to stop voting for people that says Black life should be lynched in the womb. It's not going to work. Give us another remedy. I don't want to keep hearing abortion is health care. We know that that's not true, and we know that we are actually ending the life of one of our children. We know that. We're smart enough to understand that now. But I understand we get caught up in situations too. But where is the remedy? And I want you all to put a demand on some of these new representatives we have that are speaking for us, and every time we see them, all they talk about is abortion is health care. Is that all we amount to? Is that all we're worth? We're not worthy of anything but hearing them sing the same old song. Let's hold them accountable. You got a question?
My question is, knowing that the abortion thing with Black Earth is such an issue, but if we do, how are we going to get that out of the Black minds as being healthcare, at the same token, educate them that they are able to take care of their own children without being on assistance, as far as having the community pull together? How can we get our community to pull back together and let them know, hey, I can go down the street and have Susie watch my child a lot better than going about a mile or 2 miles down the road and have my child be molested or have all these other kind of issues or being indoctrinated into the system.
So that goes back to two things. One of them, Judge Joe Brown was speaking about. He said accountability, right? There's also a saying that says it takes a village to raise children, right?
That's the truth.
Our families that we had years ago when we was little and growing up, we don't have that anymore. We can look through our own families and realize that our aunts and uncles, it was a bunch of them, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Our children only got what? Maybe 1 or 2. Our families have dramatically decreased. But if we can come together in our communities, because it does take a village to raise children, to not only watch our children, teach our children, because we need to take them out of the schools, and also push economic, right, empowerment. I did it. I was everything they could think of. I was everything they could think. I did it with 4 children on my back.
And we have to support our men.
Oh, come on now.
Because our men have been under such attack. Black men, Caucasian men,
All
name it, all men have been under such attack. And so our sons, and I'm a single mama, my son, I couldn't teach him how to be a man. I couldn't. I don't care how hard I tried. I could not teach him how to be a man. Why? Because I'm not a man. And there are certain things that the father, that a man passes to their sons that enable them to be men. So we have to stop buying into the cultural foolishness that we don't need men. That's a lie straight from the pit of hell.
You can't create life without
You
men.
can't create life without men. And back to the question of what do we do when they get pregnant, we gotta stop promoting and accepting promiscuity. Because our daughters, our daughters are being taught that the only thing they're worthy of is to be a piece of meat for a man. And so we have to stop that. We have to come together and commit that we are going to push back on that lie, and we are going to go and we're going to undergird our men until our men are strong enough again to be the priests of our household.
I want to add something that I want us to end with this brother.
Yeah, we gotta go. It's the last
I want
one.
to add this to that conversation. Where there is a young man not being admired by an older man, that's a young man who is hurting.
That's right.
Where there is a young man not being admired